Hi there, welcome back to our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. I welcome you back if you've been here before. Thank you for joining us again. And if you haven't been here before, welcome to you as well. Where we take a look at this podcast, it's the Secret War on Cash, some of the things that are taking shape and place around us literally each moment of each day. It's been a very dynamic economy and financial markets over the course of the last few years in particular. I mean, arguably it always is, but we've seen just some aggressive changes taking place around us. And these changes actually have already carried with them some very serious ramifications financially to individuals just like me, you, and all of us here tuned in. I have with me Chris Agelastos, where he's my co-host, and we have kind of been looking at a lot of different issues over the last few years that we've been doing this podcast. And we've talked about this before. This is the first time in a long while, though, Chris. I think that we've
Yeah.
we've talked about something like this, and there's a reason I wanted to kind of take a look at it and refresh our memory, if you will.
Mhm.
And this is from the Daily Hodl, where a major U.S. bank was accused of abruptly freezing 42,000 in Illinois man's bank account without explanation. Not a new headline by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm the only thing about this headline, Chris, I'm not quite clear on is they say accused. Well, they did it. Like,
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. An
They admitted it.
accusation means like, hey, I think you did, but they clearly did it.
Yeah.
And it's the reason I think this is an important thing to look at. Like, is it the end of the world to the average person who's tuned into this podcast right now, or anybody else out there? No, not really. But I mean, the person who lost their 42 grand, that to them, it's kind of a
Yeah.
big deal. And this is by no means a mutually exclusive situation. But the reason that I did want to bring this up is because this is we're moving into an age where everything that we own, our investments, it's largely, you could even take a stock portfolio, but certainly digital cash and that type of thing. Everything is electronic.
Yeah.
And especially when you look at things like Bitcoin or any kind of cryptocurrency or stable coin, things that, most people will tell you, even that own it, like they don't fully understand how it works and where the value comes from, but they're very confident or hopefully confident, let's say, that not only does that value stay there or continue, but maybe even potentially goes up. But here's the thing: this is a bank account where
Mhm.
this individual has statements that would verify and confirm that over a period of time he had these monies here, and then all of a sudden these monies are just gone.
Mhm.
And now again, this is somebody who can really, in a really concrete fashion, go in there and say, hey, what happened to my money here? Now, as he did so, they told him, initially speaking, that I think it would be if I remember correctly, a 10-day period, and then
Right.
he'd have access to those funds again.
Mhm.
And but yet that didn't happen either. And as he didn't get it back in 10 days, there's really no explanation that's been given to him. And the check that he was promised was not didn't arrive for weeks.
Yeah.
He was forced to kind of, in order just to survive, live off his credit cards because, I think he said in here, 42 grand is, to me, it's a lot of money. I think it's a lot of money
Yep.
to most people out there. Um, this is just, again, is it something that applies to everyone tuning in here? No, it isn't, until it applies to you.
That's
And
right.
so, I guess, Chris, when you read something like this, does it make you question, like, how safe is my money that's sitting in the bank? How safe is my money sitting
Yeah.
in a stock account? When they've happened more often than I think the average person even really understands.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like you said, until it affects you, it doesn't affect you. But if your account is frozen today, it's going to affect you big time. And even a 10-day wait. I mean, even when I read that, okay, hey, don't worry, we're doing this. We're freezing your account to protect you against fraud. Okay. We'll give you access in 10 days. A lot of people couldn't go 10 days without access to their funds. Not everybody just has empty credit cards on hand that they can use for an emergency.
Right.
Especially in this economy, a lot of people have their credit cards charged up and can't even get more. So it's a scary situation. And then when it goes over a month and he couldn't get anywhere, he couldn't make any progress with this until he took it to a Chicago news station. And now all of a sudden it's a PR problem. They contact Chase, and Chase instantly releases the money. And their explanation was just, we apologize for the delay, but this was to protect you. Well, his money was so safe that he couldn't even access it, I guess, right? That maybe that would be Chase's argument. But it's unbelievable to me, and yet we've seen countless articles like this over the years, and it has been a little quiet lately. So to see this again, it just reiterates the fact that you better have a backup plan. Whether it's a credit card or some cash at home or precious metals or something to protect yourself, because let's say the bank gets hacked, or the bank just decides to freeze your account, or there's some other computer glitch or bug in the system. What are you going to do if you don't have access to your money?
Right. Well, and you mentioned like we haven't heard a lot about this recently. It's kind of gone away, and I wonder that. I wonder if it really has gone away, or if it is more a reflection of the fact we have the financial news headlines have been really kind of swamped with things about the trade war, tariff war,
Yeah.
BRICS, AI, because there's really, from my perspective, I can't see how which was a serious problem we covered 2 years ago or so, and it's
Hmm.
been happening ever since. But like I can't see what in the world would have ever happened in order to, cause this problem to just go away and then all of a sudden start up again. Now,
Right.
this being said, for those of you tuned in who think, well, you guys are just fear mongers, you're trying to scare us, that's not the case whatsoever. And we'll go to our next article here from CNBC, how AWS services at Amazon
Yep.
recover after day-long outage hits major sites. Okay. Now this is they were down. This represents, I think they said, like a third of the market. Um, so here's the thing. Right here there's actually a video clip if you want to click on the link for those of you tuning in. But this speaks to what we were just talking about in the earlier article. AWS outage shows how fragile our infrastructure is. It says trusted sex David Kennedy. And that's really the truth, is that they're talking about it in a different context or capacity here, but ultimately it really boils down to the same result, meaning that
Yeah.
people are losing access to things that are theirs or things that they need,
Hmm.
capabilities they need. And it's, again, it's not to say, hey, the sky is falling, sell everything you have, get into gold or anything of that sort. You hit it just a moment ago. Our For over 40 years now, what our philosophy has been, and it's not something we invented or created, it's been around for centuries, is be properly or adequately diversified. Have yourself in equities, have yourself in metals, have yourself in land, have yourself in cash. Keep a very balanced portfolio for yourself, because when these outages do occur, that's when albeit if it's lack of access to your money, or a bank closure, which we've seen just in, people think, okay, that hasn't happened for years. No, it's happened within like roughly the last year. And that can be a whole lot for a person to absorb, as you mentioned, Chris, where if they don't have secondary source of funds, especially like most people, I would say probably largely have their monies kind of concentrated in a bank. Even if they have it in a stock portfolio or a retirement account, it can take several days for you to get that.
Yep.
And that's where, if by having physical gold, just using that as an example, a 10th ounce of gold right now would run you roughly $400 and change. Something like this, let's just say if somebody has, like, take the guy we talked about earlier with
Hmm.
$42,000. Of that 42,000, if he had 4,000 of it that he had put into gold, just that he
Yeah.
put it in this on the day this happened, so it was still worth 4 grand. He takes a tenth of that, sells it off, maybe one, two, or three tenth ounces, and that gives him, 800 to 1,200 bucks that he can use to kind of weather the storm until this gets sorted out. That's the key with diversification.
Yep. And we have a lot of clients who do that, even with their retirement savings that have some of it into gold. They'll bring in a coin or ship us a coin every month or every quarter, depending on how much money they need. and they know that they have that money to pay their bills, something that they can count on that isn't locked up in cyberspace. And in this case, they say this was just a bad coding, basically a infrastructure problem. But how do we know, right? I mean, stories like this have come out before, where it was just a software glitch, and then months later you find out it was some hacker group was responsible for causing it. And in this case, over 70 companies. A lot of people don't realize that Amazon, because they have such a large web presence, sort of diversified their business and offer those web services to other companies. So Disney Plus, Reddit, the New York Times, they were affected by this. Well, I can go without Disney Plus for a day, or maybe reading the New York Times, although access to news is important. But also investment platforms like Robinhood and Venmo, where people use to pay for things all the time, whether they're grocery shopping, or buying meals, or paying a friend for something, or shoot, we just had a garage sale last weekend, and I had people wanting to pay me in Venmo. And so when financial platforms are affected by it, and people don't have a backup, like you mentioned, what are you going to do? They're stuck. Luckily, this was back up a day later, but this sort of thing has affected the airline industry before, obviously the banking system, and even government websites. So this is a real problem, and I think maybe one that we can improve over time. But I think as technology advances, we're also going to find new vulnerabilities and weaknesses. So I don't think the problem's ever really going to go away, and people just need to prepare for this new reality that they need backup plans.
100%. And look, this is in the digital world, let's call it, this is an internal problem. Like they said, a programming glitch here or whatever. But you also constantly have external problem of hackers out there who are looking to gain access to people's finances, and it
Yep.
happens all the time where they go in there and just yank the rug out from people. With a hacker, that money in many cases isn't coming back.
Right.
Whereas, like, again, like the banking situation, again, you have the all the evidence there that you can make your case and hopefully get your monies back. But like, it just speaks to, if you are 100% invested into the digital world with your finances, hopefully it's all okay. Ultimately, even if there's a problem, it works out itself out or is
Yeah.
okay. But that's where there's no guarantee that that's going to be the case. And again, being diversified is key. So, Chris, how can
Yep.
people learn more about gold diversification, what they can do in various areas with their retirement, perhaps, or independent funds? Like, how can they get invested into physical metal?
Well, call or text us at 1-800-289-2646. You can also visit the website at www.swissamerica.com, and just let us know you want to learn more. We'll put together a nice packet of info if you prefer hard copy, or we can even email you copies if you prefer the digital route. And then we can set an appointment with one of our staff to just kind of walk you through the basics, walk before you run, as they say, and help you figure out if this is something that would make sense in your situation.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. For those of you who have subscribed to this podcast, we thank you. And for those of you who have not, we hope you please do, so we can talk to you more about this and other things in the future. Chris, I appreciate all the input, and hope you have a great rest of your day. And for those of you tuned in, same to you as well. And have a great rest of your week. We'll see you very soon.
Yep. Take care.